Hi guys, this is my review for Season 10, Episode 7, Shell Shock Part 2. So first, let's talk about the B story, Ziva and the Phantom of the Opera. Ziva is determined to get tickets to the opera on Saturday night, however she is unsuccessful because they are sold out. She slams down the phone and swears, probably in Hebrew. I miss that. I miss her random Hebrew Yiddish curses. Tony overhears and assumes she has a serious boyfriend because the opera is one of the big three. Later in the episode, Gibbs sends Tony and Ziva on a stakeout together. Ziva tries to get out of it, but Gibbs insists that she give Tony a break because the opera is after all one of the big three, and Ziva is baffled by this. Does this mean that Gibbs is acknowledging that Tony has feelings for Ziva? I mean, I guess it is kind of obvious that Tony has feelings. So Tony and Gibbs have both concluded that Ziva has a serious boy toy, and that is so sad for Tony that it has earned Gibbs' sympathy. Interesting. Later in the episode, after a long night of staking out, we get a really amazing Tony and Ziva scene. Tony prods Ziva about her boyfriend, but she still won't open up, and Tony basically kind of implies that he is hurt because last episode he opened up about his mother, he shared with her, they shared about the important things, and now in this episode she won't return the favor and share with him, and it's making Tony very sad-faced. After that, Ziva caves and admits that there is no boyfriend. The reason that she wants to go to the opera and that she has to go on that particular day is because she goes every year on Tali's birthday as a way to remember her dearly departed sister. And when Tony gave her a little shoulder squeeze, I died inside, but in a good way. I just died of feels. So in the end of this episode, Tony plays Ziva some opera on the squad room's surround sound system. So even though she can't go to the opera, she can still have her special Tali time, and it's great. It's beautiful and it's perfect, and oh my god. The end of this episode, it's the best ending ever. So now let's talk about the case. The case of the attractive, traumatized Marine. First up, if I didn't say it in the last review, it is really great that NCIS is covering this. It's a really great topic, and I thought the case stuff was okay. So we open with flashbacks to Westcott's time overseas. They jump back and forth between the guys just hanging out, relaxed, talking about their family, to the ambush where there's lots of bad things happening. It was a really good opening. In this episode, Gibbs basically recruits Westcott to help him find Randall, solve the case, save the day. Randall is part of a terrorist organization known as the Agile. He has a girlfriend, and he apparently has 2 bombs, as Abby determines from the evidence left over at the Agile headquarters. Gibbs suggests that he and Westcott visit another one of his squad members known as McCartney, who is pissed at Westcott, or possibly just pissed at everything, and says, "Where were you before? I needed you before," which I think is supposed to mean something, but it's kind of vague. Westcott then has flashbacks, and both his brother and Gibbs have to tackle him to the ground. Gibbs brings Westcott back to NCIS, and Abby helps him recover some of his memories using virtual reality software. But he can only go so far before his memories become too overwhelming. It's a really cool sequence, and the graphics are really well done. The case gets a little stalled, so Gibbs goes down to the morgue to have a chat with Ducky, do a little bit of autopsy soul searching. Gibbs feels like he's kind of failed Westcott, and Ducky convinces him to give the young lad a call. Unfortunately, it turns out the Westcott boys are at a bar. Not a good idea. Gibbs arrives, there's words, the brothers get into a fight, and Gibbs has to break it up. But come on, Gibbs, they're brothers, just let them fight it out, they'll tire each other out eventually. Gibbs convinces Westcott to come bunk with him and to also come back to the market where he first saw Randall. He then remembers that Randall was involved in a handoff with a blue-haired girl. Eventually, they track down the blue-haired girl, and she leads them to Randall and one of the 2 bombs. Gibbs interrogates Randall, and even though it looks like for a second that he's gonna break, they get nothing out of him. Angry, Westcott bursts into the interrogation room, attacks Randall, and there he has a flashback and remembers that Randall's girlfriend's picture was on the wall of the Agile hut. She's part of it. They figure out that the target is a congressman's Thanksgiving dinner, and that the girlfriend must be there with the bomb. Flash forward, they recover the bomb, but they're having trouble finding the girl. But then Gibbs spots her signature blonde ponytail entering a police cruiser in disguise. There's a great little sequence where she's looking for the keys, and then she finds them, and she looks up, and there's Team Gibbs right through the windshield pointing guns at her. She's caught. I will say that though I liked this scene, I kind of would have wished for something a little bit more exciting exciting. I mean, it just feels like when it's a two-parter, you just want it to be something with a little bit more action. Like, I don't know. It just feels like a little bit anticlimactic when it's the end of like a two-part episode. Lastly, they visit McCartney, who is much more chill, and we learn that Westcott didn't freeze the abandoned hall, that he was actually the one that dragged him away, so everything's cool now. I'm not sure what McCartney's deal is, because at first he's all like ragey and like blaming Westcott, and then now he's all like chill and like telling him that like he didn't do anything wrong. I don't know, that part's a little lost on me. Maybe I missed something. We unfortunately do not get to see Thanksgiving dinner at Gibbs's place. Sad face. I mean, I guess I didn't have time for it, but I would have gladly traded in some of this case for a little bit of quality turkey time with Team Gibbs. So I'm gonna give this episode 4 out of a possible 5 calf pows. So it's kind of the same deal as the first episode. You know, it's an okay case. I like that they're tackling PTSD. I just wasn't super thrilled with the case file, I guess. Sorry. But however, we had great Tiva development. So excited. You know, in the future when I watch these episodes on DVD, I think they're gonna flow really well, so yay consistency. So I will see you guys later, whenever, for another review, and next week we have... I'm so excited! Next week looks so good. Phantom of the Opera is there. Inside your mind.